Iraq has long been a focal point of regional and global geopolitics. Despite the fall of Saddam Hussein in 2003, the country continues to be a battleground for influence, not only among domestic factions, but also among powerful neighboring states and global superpowers. The combination of sectarian divisions, historical grievances, and strategic location has made Iraq a unique arena where local, regional, and international interests collide. Today we will talk about why Iraq is still a battleground for power. So, before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Historical roots of conflict. Iraq's struggles with power have deep historical roots. The country's borders were drawn under colonial influence after World War I, combining multiple ethnic and religious groups with long-standing rivalries. These divisions were often suppressed under authoritarian regimes like that of Saddam Hussein, but they re-emerged dramatically after his fall. The 2003 U.S.-led invasion dismantled Iraq's centralized state apparatus, leaving a vacuum that allowed old rivalries and new power struggles to surface. Sunni, Shia, and Kurdish factions began vying for political control, resources, and security dominance, setting the stage for decades of instability. Sectarianism and internal divisions. Sectarian divisions are at the core of Iraq's political instability. The majority Shia population, minority Sunni communities, and the semi-autonomous Kurdish region in the north have competing visions for governance and representation. Political structures in Iraq, based on ethno-sectarian power sharing, have often exacerbated tensions rather than resolving them. Shia majority parties tend to align with Iran for political and military support, while some Sunni factions seek backing from Gulf countries and the United States. The Kurds maintain a semi-autonomous government in the north and cultivate strategic ties with international actors, particularly the U.S. These overlapping loyalties create a complex battleground where external powers can leverage internal divisions for influence. The role of foreign powers. Iraq's strategic location and vast oil reserves have drawn the attention of multiple global powers. The United States has maintained a presence in Iraq since the 2003 invasion, influencing politics, security operations, and economic policy. Iran, on the other hand, has cultivated relationships with Shia political groups and militias, embedding itself deeply in Iraq's political and military networks. Regional powers like Saudi Arabia and Turkey also pursue influence in Iraq, seeking to protect their borders, religious communities, and economic interests. This complex web of competing powers ensures that Iraq remains a battleground, not just domestically, but as a proxy theater for regional and global rivalries. Militias and armed factions. The proliferation of armed groups and militias in Iraq is a major factor sustaining instability. Iran-backed Shia militias, organized under the Popular Mobilization Forces, PMF, play a dual role as both security actors and political influencers. While they have been instrumental in combating ISIS, these groups often operate outside official state control and pursue their own agendas. Sunni tribal militias and smaller insurgent networks occasionally challenge both state authority and rival militias, while Kurdish Peshmerga forces maintain regional security in the north. The presence of multiple armed actors with competing loyalties creates an environment where power is constantly contested and governance is fragmented. The legacy of ISIS. The rise of ISIS in 2014 further complicated Iraq's power dynamics. The group's rapid territorial gains exposed weaknesses in Iraq's military and governance systems. The fight against ISIS involved a combination of U.S. military support, Iraqi state forces, Kurdish militias, and Iranian-backed Shia militias, highlighting how Iraq's internal and external actors are deeply entangled. Even after ISIS lost its territorial holdings, its remnants continue to operate as insurgent networks, further destabilizing regions and providing a pretext for external powers to maintain influence in Iraq. Oil and economic leverage. Iraq's oil wealth is central to its strategic importance. Control over oil production and distribution translates directly into political and economic power. Shia-led central government authorities rely on oil revenues to fund state operations, while regional actors like the Kurds manage their own oil exports to sustain autonomy. Global energy markets also factor into Iraq's importance. Powers like the United States, Iran, and China are all invested in securing stable access to Iraqi oil. This economic leverage fuels competition, both within Iraq and internationally, making the country a key arena for strategic influence. Political fragmentation and weak governance. Iraq's political system, designed to balance sectarian representation, has often contributed to weak governance. Frequent elections and coalition governments create uncertainty, and political patronage networks dominate decision-making. Corruption remains a major issue, eroding public trust in institutions. The combination of weak governance and external influence creates a perpetual battleground where power struggles are not only violent, but also bureaucratic and political. Local factions often seek foreign backing to bolster their position, reinforcing cycles of competition and instability. Regional rivalries and proxy battles. Iraq sits at the center of a broader regional rivalry, particularly between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Both powers see Iraq as strategically important for religious, political, and security reasons. Iran leverages its influence over Shia militias and political parties, while Saudi Arabia seeks to counterbalance this influence through Sunni alliances and economic engagement. Turkey, concerned with Kurdish autonomy and cross-border security, also actively intervenes militarily and politically. These overlapping interests ensure that Iraq continues to be a site of proxy battles, with local actors often serving as instruments of larger regional strategies. International military presence. The ongoing presence of international military forces in Iraq further reinforces its status as a battleground. The United States maintains training and advisory missions, conducts airstrikes against extremist groups, and supports security infrastructure. Iran, through its network of militias, maintains a parallel influence over military operations. These overlapping military roles can create tensions, incidents, and flashpoints, contributing to a persistent state of instability and ensuring that Iraq remains a contested zone for power projection. Social and humanitarian challenges. Iraq's political and security instability has profound social consequences. Millions of Iraqis have been displaced by conflict, and basic services such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure remain fragile. The social fabric of the country is strained, creating conditions that extremist groups and foreign powers can exploit to gain influence. Persistent humanitarian crises reinforce the perception of Iraq as a battleground, not just for political power, but for control over the country's future and its population. Sectarian reconciliation efforts. Efforts at sectarian reconciliation have been sporadic and largely unsuccessful. While some political leaders advocate for cross-sectarian governance, entrenched divisions and competing external influences make compromise difficult. Religious and ethnic identities remain highly politicized, making Iraq particularly vulnerable to manipulation by both domestic factions and foreign powers. Without meaningful reconciliation, Iraq's battleground status is likely to continue as groups compete for both political power and strategic advantage. Economic development and foreign investment. Foreign investment and economic development have the potential to stabilize Iraq, but they are often hampered by security concerns and political fragmentation. Infrastructure projects, energy investments, and reconstruction efforts attract international actors who simultaneously pursue strategic influence. This dual role of economic engagement, as both a stabilizing force and a tool of influence, ensures that Iraq remains a complex arena where power struggles are economic, political, and military. The role of global organizations. International organizations, such as the United Nations and humanitarian agencies, are deeply involved in Iraq. Their efforts to mediate conflicts, provide aid, and support reconstruction intersect with the agendas of regional and global powers. While these organizations aim to stabilize Iraq, they also operate in a space heavily influenced by competing interests, further reflecting the country's status as a contested battleground. If you like this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up Leave a comment and click the button to subscribe.